Hey there, my friends. Last week, a parent filed a complaint against me with the school district, which is hysterical because I don't work for the school district. I run my show here and commentary on what's happening around the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. And I use amazing sources for information that I also, on top of that, investigate to make sure that the information that I'm getting is true. But apparently, this parent was unhappy in the fact that I noticed, and not only me, but other parents noticed that we had a clearly incompetent principal at El Dorado High School. So incompetent that he would eventually begin a harassment campaign against the school resource officers. So, just before I get into that, there's a couple things I want to make sure y'all understand, just in case you don't know, is that I've been a member of this community for several decades. I've owned businesses in Brea, Anaheim, Yorba Linda, on Prospect Avenue in Yorba Linda, on Valley View Avenue in Yorba Linda, to Birch Street in Brea, and have had hundreds, if not thousands, of pet dog owner customers where I've trained them and their dogs. I trained police officers throughout the United States, and in particular locally here in Orange and Anaheim, again, Brea, Placentia, the sheriff's departments, Tustin. And so many of these officers that attended the police academies that I taught and that kind of stuff, or I trained them as police canine handlers, are now chiefs of police, captains, lieutenants, sergeants in local police departments. And so on top of my work within the community with my businesses on Chamber of Commerce and BNI, it would be shocking if I did not hear certain things that are happening within the community here, more so than the fact that I did hear things. So, one day somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, did you hear what's going on with Placentia Police Department in El Dorado?" And I say, "No." And then somebody says, "Hey, there's a hostile work environment being created that has been created by the principal over there at El Dorado, Joey Davison, or Davis, sorry." And then, of course, then I go to work. I begin to investigate. And so, yes, I find out that this is true, that there's a hostile work environment. The police officers were so concerned about the dangers of going to that school because of Joey Davis. I'm not sure why I keep saying that. Joey Davis is that, and we'll just call him Joey from this point on, is that they were no longer wanting to show up to work. Now, can you imagine police officers who are shot at, that chase people at 100 and something miles an hour and wrestle with the worst of the worst and have to fight with them and sometimes fight over dangerous weapons, find that Joey's work environment is so hostile that they feel that they are in danger every day they go there. So that's how bad it was over at El Dorado. Again, this parent apparently was upset that I noticed, and that other parents had emailed me and called me and met with me at restaurants and supermarkets and other locations within the community and said, "You know what, have you heard about this Joey over at El Dorado? He's horrible and pathetic." I received a message just before I started to record this message from a parent who pulled their child out of the school, and not only that, left the state, according to her, because of Joey and the shenanigans going on at El Dorado. My family, we had three teenagers going to El Dorado, and we had to pull one out because it was too dangerous for her to be at El Dorado because of Joey's lack of commitment to making a safe environment for all the children. And essentially, it was just incompetent and not equipped to run a school. How we got there, obviously, is through friends that he had in the old school board and superintendents and the rest of the executive board that used to be at Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. The next thing the woman was upset about is because I brought up the fact that he does not, and this is just one of the issues, that he does not enforce the dress code. Now, her concern about this reminds me of a case that I had at Anaheim Police Department as a sex crimes detective, where I had arrested a 37-year-old man who had raped his 13-year-old niece and impregnated her. Through a report from mandatory reporters at the school district there in Anaheim, I got the case, I investigated the case, and arrested this 37-year-old man who had raped a 13-year-old girl. I come into work one day and there's an entire family at the front desk filing, and the mother in particular wants to file a complaint against me for arresting her brother who had raped her daughter, the 13-year-old victim. And this is what this fairly odd parent reminds me is of that parent. That when somebody's trying to protect your child because you're too incompetent or unwilling to do so, it's not my fault. And the same thing here with the school district, that many parents have contacted me. Many parents have contacted the school district and said, El Dorado High School is unsafe. Many of the rules are not being followed. And one of those rules I pointed out to the district and to Joey was that the fact that he was not following the dress code. Now, he sends me an email, oddly enough, and that is one that says, I've logged in Aries this year 27 violations of the dress code, so I don't know what you're talking about. And I laughed in my email back to him and on a previous recording where, in fact, that's what she was complaining about, that you got to be kidding me, that you, in 1 year, you filed 27 violations of the dress code. And my response was that any parent could sit in front of the school as they are dropping off their child, because you do have to stop the vehicle to let your child out. And during that time of stopping to let your child out, you could see, because there's so many kids that are coming in just before school starts, you can see more than 27 violations just while sitting there. Now, apparently to this woman, she thought that was perverted and somehow not good. And that was her complaint, was that somehow I was perverted and all a whole bunch of other names. But let me read what the dress code is, and I'm just going to read a portion of it here. But shirts and tops, clothing shall conceal undergarments at all times, see-through fabric, backless, strapless clothing, low-cut revealing tops, and bare midriffs. And in bold letter it says, are prohibited. Not that will be tolerated, not sometimes okay. No, it just says are prohibited at all times. Pants, shorts, skirts, dresses, undergarments cannot be visible in any way. Revealing pants, shorts, skirts, dresses are prohibited. And then we have the illegal and obscene, any apparel, jewelry, accessory, inscription on personal belongings that could be construed as depicting or promoting the illegal, the obscene, or is sexually suggestive is not allowed. Items that specifically depict or promote alcohol, drugs, tobacco, weapons, or obscenities are prohibited. And then it goes on to offensive apparel, jewelry, footwear. You have to wear shoes. Hats could only be gold, black, and white, and with the approved El Dorado High School logo on them. And bandanas are prohibited. And so, as you can see, that the rules are fairly clear, I would say, and they're very straight and to the point. And that is my point, and was my point in the video where I talked about the incompetence of Joey over at El Dorado High School as a principal, that this is the one rule, in addition to several other rules, not having smoking on campus in the restrooms or sex in the restrooms, which is going on because those are the complaints I'm getting, that this is one rule that if you start here, then many of those other things will not occur. And my point was that if you just sit there for a short period of time, you will see violations in all these areas in a very short period of time. So here are the quotes from the complaint that I received, the district received and was read to me, is that Andy is a pervert for noticing that kids are in violation of the dress code. Those aren't the exact words. That's essentially what she was saying. And then these are exact words where she said, we are not under Sharia law. Did any of those rules look like Sharia law? Absolutely not. But according to this woman who does not want to protect her children nor any other child that goes to that school, she feels that any rule apparently is Sharia law. And then the last one, again, this was a much longer email, but these are the main things that were directed towards me. And Andy said in his video that he was ogling kids. I never said that. I said, while dropping off my children at the school, you can make these observations. The good news is that Dr. Alex Chernies went to the chief of police and made sure that he saved the school resource officers program there at El Dorado High School, and he saved the program in spite of how hostile Joey Davis made the situation over there at the school difficult for these police officers. And so there's a stark contrast between the two. You have Joey Davis, a complete incompetent boob who has never run El Dorado in a way that it needs to be run. In other words, he doesn't, make sure that the children follow the rules, that the dress code is enforced, that he makes sure that children use the restroom for going to the bathroom, that boys aren't in the girls' restroom, which happens on a daily basis, that boys aren't going into locker rooms where the girls are, and a whole number of other things that just simply need to be enforced, need to be followed. He's chosen to raise his hands up and say, I refuse to do anything. And in fact, the part of the harassment complaint was to the officers is that I don't want to see you when I'm here on campus. I don't want to see you doing anything. I don't want to see you talking to any children. I don't like you, is what he said to the police, to the Placentia police officers that were working at the El Dorado High School. The one thing I just want to touch on really quickly, and that is something that we use in law enforcement, which is called the broken windows theory. And the broken windows theory means you will enforce the low-level crimes, fix broken windows, fix and paint over any graffiti, make sure that the gardens and the planters are all clean and free of trash and weeds, so that you give an environment where the low-level things are taken care of, so that when the first blush or the first thing that people see and these students come in is a campus that they can be proud of, and that the rules like the dress code and the hanging out in the restrooms for far too long, or smoking and these other things that are now banned in public schools, that these things are followed. Attending school, not being tardy, being on time, being ready to go when the bell rings. All these things, if you really hold strong and enforce them and teach your teachers to enforce them, you will create a culture of education and of one of success and not one of debauchery. And so that is really what I think is really important when you begin to follow these simple rules. And instead, like we have at El Dorado now, is where none of these rules are being followed. This is what makes a very dangerous situation for the kids that are attending that school, that you have kids that are on the edge of going one direction as opposed to another, that they will tend to go to the life of crime, or a life of debauchery, or not studying, or not showing up, or being tardy, where it just doesn't seem to matter when the principal doesn't follow the rules, the teachers don't follow the rules. Why should I? And so this is why this is so important. So I want to do something really quick. I want to make sure that I don't get confused for ogling, but I want to show you how quickly you can identify, and they could identify the problems at the school, and which children are not simply following the dress code as it stands. And so we're going to go through each one of these dress code violations, if there is any, and they're separated by two different pictures, one A, one B. I simply want you to remember which ones are dress code violations by the letter A, and those that are not by the letter B. So here we go. So here's the first one I have for you, and I'm going to show these quickly. Which one of these is a violation? Which one of these is a violation? Which one of these is a violation? And which one of these is a violation? Now, that was less than the amount of time it takes to drop off a child at the school. And I'm pretty sure you could see, as anybody else could see, without ogling, without being perverted, you can see that A, in the case of every slide, A were the violations. And I couldn't have made it any easier, but you also could see very quickly, without ogling, without dressing down somebody with your eyes, but just going, wait a minute, that one doesn't fit. And that is a violation of the dress code violation. One last thing before I leave you is I want to give you the reasons why, just starting with this one particular rule, and there's many others that Joey doesn't follow and could care less, and he's created this culture where not even the teachers care anymore, and this is why it's become a dangerous place for children at El Dorado High School. And that is, I want to give you the reasons why there must be a dress code that is followed and enforced. And one of them is to minimize distractions. High school is a time of intense academic focus and personal growth. However, external distractions can hinder students' ability to concentrate and thrive. A well-defined dress code helps minimize these distractions by providing a consistent and professional environment conducive to learning. The next one is for respect and responsibility. Adhering to a dress code instills important values such as respect and responsibility in high school students. By following established guidelines, students learn the importance of adhering to rules and regulations, preparing them for future endeavors in the workforce and society. Additionally, a dress code encourages students to take pride in their appearance and conduct themselves in a manner that reflects positively on themselves and their school community. The emphasis on personal presentation and behavior contributes to the the development of essential life skills that extend beyond the classroom. And lastly, preparing for success. In today's highly competitive world, the ability to present oneself professionally is a valuable asset. A dress code equips high school students with the knowledge and practice of appropriate attire for various settings, whether it be a job interview, college admissions interview, or professional network event. By familiarizing students with these expectations early on, schools play a crucial role in preparing them for future success in their academic and professional endeavors. The confidence gained from knowing how to dress and present oneself appropriately can open doors to opportunities and set students on a path towards achievement. So, my friends, and to the parent who filed a complaint, thank you for that complaint. It gave me another opportunity to point out that Joey is an incompetent principal that needs to be released from the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. We have parents all the way through the last few years that I've been there complaining and saying, hey, this guy's a danger to our children, to even an email I got today that says, hey, I want to let you know what our experience was at El Dorado High School. It was so bad that we had to move out of state. And because El Dorado, being run by Joey Davis, was a dangerous place for my child, I removed one of my children from El Dorado because it was a dangerous place. And so thank you for that complaint. I appreciate it very much, and it allowed me to point out some very obvious things that are obvious to most people, but apparently are not obvious to you. All right, my friends, that's it for me. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.